Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast number 286. I'm titling this one Two Great Weeks in Washington, D.C. Sports. It's been a phenomenal show. We'll talk about the Capitals at the beginning here. They had a 3-3 first 2 weeks, which is great. They had some troubles on the road, but they played pretty well at home for the most part. And then they have a live game going on right now. In the first period, it was 1-1, and then Washington erupted for 4 goals in the second period. This game is being played in New Jersey, and the third period actually just started. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, it's gonna be a fun show. We're also gonna talk about the Commanders, who went 2-0. I talked last week about the keys to success, saying if they could beat the Bears, maybe they could parlay that into a win versus the Green Bay Packers, and they did just that with some good defense on both of them. So that's good. Carly Sings is in chat. She's saying, "Go Patriots!" The Patriots are playing live on Monday Night Football right now. They're having a tough game against the Bears that we were talking about just a couple of moments ago. And thank you, Carly. She just resubscribed for 28 months, which I really, or for, wait, what was that? It was 18 months? Yeah.
I too am pulling for the Pats tonight, so
yes, I'll pull for the Pats just because I'm good friends with Carly. And but they've got a tough road. I think they're down 10-0 in this game. We also have Andy in chat. We also have Champ, who's in chat as well. So I appreciate all my moderators for joining us early live on Twitch. We're also live on Facebook. I'll be sharing that in just a couple of moments. But Anna, well, first of all, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you again for having me on. It was a very nice weekend. Loving the fall colors and everything else, and loving the recent Caps games, that's for sure.
I'll say I'm sorry about the 49ers. That was a rough one. But other than that, I mean, the Capitals are doing well. I think, I was a little bit down on them as we get into the 6th game. And then I was, things kind of, changed for them. And we'll talk about how they changed in that game. And it may have sort of changed my thought process on these first 2 weeks going into this game. But we're going to start all the way back on game 1 in Boston. Yeah, it's actually against Boston. Carly's in chat. She can celebrate the fact that she won this one. We also have Fry in chat. Welcome, Fry. I'm going to share this to a bunch of different Caps groups. But Anna, break down this first. It's actually a home opener against the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, I was hoping for more, but it was a very slow night for the Caps. So Carly, go ahead. Dance your way to a little victory dance, go for it, and we'll just not on this end. So Bergeron and Pasta opened the scoring in the first period for Boston. Second period, Boston scores at 6:14. But here we go with Mantha. And I always think of you, Robbie, and I think it's great. It's nice to see him on the scoreboard at 7:34 with assist by Strome and Gustafsson. Like, I always feel like I'm going to say his name wrong. But I think I got it that time. About 5 minutes later, Sherry scored, assisted by Dowd. Boston scores twice in the third for a 5-2 loss. So I think, honestly, I walked away from this game quite frustrated with it being on home ice, but I was hoping for a little bit more. The only thing I could say, it was great to see them back. It was great to see, Mantha score, and it was like, oh, that's great. However, that power play sucked. The face-off percentage sucked, and it was things that I was hoping to see better in upcoming games. And there was a little, not a great increase in face-off percentage, but a little bit. We're slowly getting there, and it looks like we just scored at the Devils game. Oh no, the Devils just scored. Shoot, sorry. But I'm putting my glasses on.
That's true. The team in red, I'm wearing the wrong color. So I could see how that might be confusing. They did bump into our goalie, but let's see. Did they give him enough space? Yeah, no, our guy bumped into our goalie. I think that's going to be a good goal. It's unfortunate. Of course, I was just sharing how well we were playing in the share text, which I should never have done. I will own that. But I mean, I'm saying Caps playing a hell of a game. I wasn't saying like they were like, destroying anything.
Yeah,
but
no.
I mean, but
They're playing good hockey.
The second I share it, that, but anyway, 28 shots, only 2 goals let in. That's not too terrible so far. So I'll be okay with that. And we've scored 5 goals on 20 shots, which is pretty incredible. So,
can't complain.
Yep. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of frustrated by this game. Obviously, I was hoping that the Caps would put together a better game, but I also think that Boston looked really good in the game. So it was hard for me to tell. There was some rust. Of course, all of these Caps fans were mad that we sent down a bunch of younger players. We talked about that, 2 weeks ago. But we'll talk about it. I think Mojo may have been a person that we wanted to keep around, especially for the power play that was, failing them over these first couple of games. We'll talk about that, but overall, I thought that Boston played a hell of a game, and I thought that some things didn't go our way, but I saw things that we could build on. And it sucks to lose your home opener, but overall, I thought there was a lot of things that we could take away positively from this game.
I agree. I mean, I think you're gonna shake off the nerves and say, okay, whatever, it is what it is, even if it is against Boston. And they came out ready. We just weren't. So that's how I just was like, check that box, and we're moving on to the next one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, luckily we had a very short turnaround to the next game. So they could do that. Why don't you break down this Toronto game next?
Absolutely. So Caps head to Toronto, and here we go with Toronto scoring first at 6:40, followed by Dowd's first at 9:57, and Mojo's first at 13:52, which is fantastic. Leafs go on to score 2 more times. It was a 3-2 loss. Frustrations on this end, I have to say, we were 0 for 5 in the power play, which is very frustrating. And that face-off percentage had gone up from the Boston game, but it was still only at 46. So it's just like, meh. And then Gil and I spoke yesterday on power play that we were both quite frustrated with the single digits in the shots on goal. In the second, 9, and in the third, there was only 6. So that was frustrating. But nah. And then
it's also tough to go to Toronto the next night. I mean, I'm just like, I was upset by it, but at the same time, like, I get it too. Like, it's Toronto also lost their first game, and so they were coming in from bad blood.
They were ready. Yeah. So I mean, it's just, I think there was a physicality that maybe they weren't quite expecting on the Caps end, and we were like, okay. And then it was Lindgren's first game, and I don't think he played poorly. I don't think tonight he's played poorly. But it was nice to kind of at least see him one time between the pipes, so we can be like, okay, how are we going to roll with the season?
Yeah, for sure. Toronto is such an interesting team. I don't know what to really think of them. I've always been a huge fan of Steve Dangle. He's been a huge inspiration to me wanting to even do this. And people who don't know who Steve Dangle is, he's a very famous YouTuber who covers Toronto, and I've read his books, and I followed his YouTube channel for probably 8 or 9 seasons now, and I think he's one of the best in the business. He's done this for 17 years, where he covers every single Capitals game after every single game. Now, we don't do it after every game, but we do it weekly in the same sort of vein. His are obviously much shorter, and ours are a little bit deeper dives, but in the same idea. And he also does a podcast with friends of his in a similar fashion what this is, and so I've always enjoyed those as well. So I always kind of get a deeper view into Toronto than maybe most of the other NHL teams. They're one of my favorite teams to watch, I would say, in the East, because they're not really a natural rival in the sense of like the Metro teams, and they're so up and down, a lot like the Capitals. So it's not surprising that they were on that day, but there's other days where I feel like you could catch them napping. I did think that our former goalie did want to get a little bit of revenge on us, right? So he definitely shut us down. But there were a couple of leaky goals that he had that kind of reminded us, hey, this is why we kind of let you go. But it was overall, it was a good game. Again, we lost it, which was frustrating to go 0-2, to start the season. But I thought overall, there was a lot that you could learn from that game as well.
Absolutely. No, I felt the same way. I mean, and again, it was the second game. So we had to.
There's a lot of doom and gloom fans that were like, we're the oldest team. We're never gonna
a lot of doom and gloom. And I'm thinking, okay, oh, shoot. I think did the Devils just score?
I thought it went to a commercial. No, I think it was commercial break. I think they were just re-showing the highlight.
Okay.
At least I didn't see another goal, but I'm
looking at
I'm sharing it to you, talking to you. There's a lot of things. But the Patriots did just score a touchdown and then just got an interception. So for Carly Sings, it's exciting for her. So
I'll take it for my football pool.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but I will say, Gil and I were incredibly frustrated when we were seeing the negativity after the second game. It was like his second game. There are 80 plus games to go. Like, people just shut up already. Like, it was back to back, one home, one away. And like, my God, just give it a rest. But yeah, there's already goalie, negativity, we're too old, negative, just everything. It's like, God, it's game 2. So annoying.
It's frustrating.
I mean, truly. But you want me you ready for the Canadians?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's turn that corner. I like this.
Yeah. No, I'm all for it. I would when I wrote everything out, I'm like, I'm gonna go abridged, and then we're just gonna kind of improv, and we're just gonna roll with it.
Yep.
So Saturday, the Caps welcome the Canadians. No goals in the first. Second period, Suzuki scores at 2:01, but then the Caps rallied with a tip in by Sherry. And I have a feeling, Robbie, that you and I are going to be saying Sherry's name quite often this season, and I am pumped. I love it.
I think it's pretty cool. He's been with us for a while now. It was hard for me because he obviously came over from the Penguins. There was a lot of questions, as they do. But he might go down as the next like Brooks Orpik, a player that came over and really cemented his legacy in a very positive way for the Capitals. There's been a lot of players that have gone back and forth between these two teams over the years. But for a long time, it was like hard for me not to think of him as a former Penguin. But now I really think of it as a true Capital. I think it's his 7th season now, if you can believe that. I think he's been on the team almost as long as this podcast has been around. So, I really am starting to see really great things. I mean, he's always been great, but I just think that, I'm seeing a lot more out of him lately.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that we're seeing in the beginning of this season, and I hope it just, that momentum keeps going. So he scores with the tip in, assisted by Jensen and TBR. At 9:02, we go with Mantha, number 2, getting the second, I should say, at 11:43, assisted by Kuzi and Oshie. And then TJ at 15:20 with the power play goal, assisted by Ovi and Strome. Liking Dylan Strome, I have to say, I may just have a new favorite this season, and I think it might be him. No goals in the third. So first star, let's put it out there for Kemper. Fantastic. And second one for Oshie.
Oh my God, the amount of trash talk that some Capitals have had about Darcy Kemper, it drives me crazy. I'm like, give him a couple of months with this team. Like,
God.
It was like, because he was really good for a long time, and then he had kind of a bit of a falling out, and then a really great defense.
Yeah.
In Colorado, and then they won the cup, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's the defense." But if you look at his numbers for Arizona before all of that, I mean, in save percentages, 925, 928, then it dipped to a 9-1. It's not terrible. Then in Colorado, a 9-2-1 again, and so far with us, he is just hovering at an 8.99. But it's still like not awful. And new team, new system. Give him some time for those numbers to balance out.
Holy shit, this is the third game.
Right.
It's like it could have been so much worse, and people just need to sit down and chill the F up. Chill the F out, I should say.
Oh no, a goal.
Okay.
Oh no.
Are we is it 5-3
it's 5-3 now, 10:54. So I may have completely jinxed it, being like, 4 goals second. We're gonna be so excited. But I mean, this would be really devastating if we don't put the clamps down now. But we have an opportunity that we've given away. and we can now prove that we're not that team. And
absolutely, because I'm like, wait a second, I'm like, how fast can I get out of this sweatshirt and into another shirt, and then talk about
well, we're gonna ride with it. If they somehow tie the game, we'll have a pause in the podcast. We'll change the juju.
There we go.
We'll come back. But so right now there's still 2 goals hopefully away from that. So that'll be our water break if that happens.
That's it. That's it.
We'll all need a timeout at that point. Yeah, no, I love what we're able to do. Mantha, I love him. We've talked about him a lot on the show. And TJ Oshie, we've talked a ton about. I'm actually wearing my TJ Oshie right now, the one signed, Unleash the Fury by Mr. Wes Johnson himself. I always bring this out when I want to like change the momentum in a game, and I brought it out in the last game when things weren't going well in game 6, and I thought I'd wear it again tonight, but I realized we are not wearing red, but I thought we would risk it. But I'm so happy with both of our goalies. Now Charlie is having a rough go of it right now. But he's been phenomenal at times. I mean, they've put up 35 shots and there's still 10 minutes left in this period.
Yeah.
So
no, I just can't throw him under the bus. I mean, I honestly, I can't. And when you talk about your jersey, my blue sweatshirt tonight is what I wore when I met Alex Ovechkin. So
nice.
So yeah, so it's got a little,
I'm so jealous that you met him. I've never met Alex. He's definitely yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was starstruck for sure, but I was excited. It was good.
Did you say hi to him or did you just see he walk by?
Oh no. I had a photo op.
Wow.
It was one of those like sports, he was gonna sign stuff, but he was very polite and I was stupid giddy, and
did he sign something for you?
You know what, he didn't. I just opted for the photo.
Got it. Yeah, no, I'd rather do the photo too. I'm with you actually.
Yeah, and that was just great. And then the friend I was with had the the OVOs side, the box signed, and I was like, shoot, I should have brought that. But yeah, so just those things are just so cool. And
that was really cool. Yeah, I got to meet Nicholas Backstrom one time and he was awesome. And
I think I'd be floored. Yeah, him. I've met Tommy a bunch of times, and you'd think I would. Yeah, I was like, I don't even know what I was like. I was probably just like stupid fangirl, but yeah, I've met him a couple of times. It is very cool to meet them and just kind of be in awe of their athleticism
and their greatness. I mean, they are in Capitals and DC history some of the greats. So anyway, I was happy they were able to turn around this game in the second period, able to score 3 goals, and then able to lock it down in the third. It was just a very good victory at home. I kind of felt that after the Toronto game that they were going to show up for this one. And they were kind of saying the same things, but they went into it knowing they were going to win it. The one against Vancouver I was a little bit more nervous about, but let's break down that game now.
Sure thing. So on Monday nights, Monday night, the Caps played Vancouver. Ovi gets his first with the power play goal, 56 minutes, 56 seconds into the first.
I couldn't believe they got a power play so quickly. That was crazy.
That was a little like, wait, what just happened? And then
it was a high sticking. It's one of those ones that's like hard to even question,
Exactly. And Pettersson closes out the first, so we're now at a 1-1 tie going into the second. So with the exception of Eller's goal, 8 seconds into the second period, Vancouver just dominated with 3 goals in that second period with a 4-2 lead. The third period, however, was all about the Capitals.
Yeah, I did not see this coming. Well, first of all, I was at the Girls concert. Carly mentioned it in chat. I'll mention it real quick. Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/RobbieGross, all one word. You can see it. I did a 47-minute movie of my awesome concert with Zach. I'm super happy we did it, but obviously I was going to miss it. But I was score checking, in between acts and stuff like that. And going into the third was right between the 2 musical acts, right before the Girls went on, and they were down 6-4 at that point. I was like, oh, that's too terrible. Yeah, that's too bad. I even wrote a message in one of the group chats in one of the Facebook groups I'm in the Sin Bin. And I was like, I hope you guys are able to turn it around. I'm sorry I can't watch the third. And sure enough, I just keep on getting like alerts in my pocket during the Girls concert. And then, Dylan Strome gets a power play. Then John Carlson, then Connor Sherry, who we talked about a lot. And then Ovi gets a nice goal as well. Just second of the day, but just I mean, we'll talk about it because you got to see it, but that's pretty amazing that they were able to score 4 in a row like that.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, for me, I was excited for Dylan Strome because I think he's one that kind of has a little bit of that like Rana mentality where, you know, if he doesn't score, if he doesn't do something, he's very hard on himself. You know, we would always see like Rana get, you know, miss something or something would happen and he'd go to the bench and you could see the frustration. I think in that intensity, I think Dylan Strome is one that has that as well, which I love. So yeah, to see him get his first and on a power play goal is fantastic. And Carlson, I know everyone wants to just hate John Carlson. I don't. This was a bullet. This was fantastic to see. 843. It was exactly what maybe he needed, and maybe some of the fans that can't stand him needed to see because he still got it. Sherry, I'll take it. And then Ovi with this amazing tip in at 1702. Like you just can't go wrong with that. Face off percentages 51.7. Way to go. This is what we needed to see. And power play 2 for 3.
I just want to know what he told them in between the periods to go from getting 2 goals scored on you, right? Yeah. After you had a 2-1 lead and it just all fell apart and the momentum's just tanking the other way, to then just 1 minute and 16 seconds in and just keep on every couple of minutes, just chipping away at it. And it was just an amazing. I'm just so happy that Connor Sherry got that, you know, huge goal when it's tied 4-4. That's a big one. And obviously Ovi, you know, getting that insurance goal is always important too, but just, you know, really great effort by the Capitals. And I'm happy to see that they were able to win at home.
Yeah. Oh, same. This to me was definitely a favorite game to watch because they're starting to fill in those chemistry gaps that we weren't really seeing. And unfortunately, like, you know, there's a pro in that sense, and then a con is we're still nowhere near that 60 minutes of hockey because, you know, nothing like waiting till the third period to really come out.
Right now, this third period is the opposite. Scoring chances right now are 6-0 in favor of New Jersey. And they're out shooting us. I want to say is double digits to like 2, I think, or something like that. It was some ridiculously. Let me see what the actual number was. It was not good.
What's the time left? I can't.
It's at 7:45. And
oh god.
So they've now.
And it's 5-3.
It's still 5-3. They now outshot us 38-20. So they've almost doubled up our shots. And you know, so it's just like a shooting gallery. But right now we're in the offensive zone and we're buzzing. And New Jersey's trying to get it out. They're able to clear it, but we have 2 defenders back. We try to gain control of it and do a good defensive. All right, we got out of our defensive zone. So yeah, it's a back and forth game. 7:14 left. Hopefully we can put a little bit more pressure on them and you know, force the issue on the other side of the ice, because if we're just going to keep sitting back, it's going to be a long 7 minutes remaining in this game. Talk about a long game. Let's talk about this Ottawa game, because this is a frustrating one where we started off so well and then it really fell apart in the second.
Yeah, I have to say at the 6th game, this was my least favorite game. Just kind of anyways. So Caps at Ottawa. So here we go. Both Oshie and Mantha score with power play goals in the first. Seen assists by Mojo, Carlson, Orloff, and Sherry, which is great. Love it. But then it all kind of falls to shit after this. Second period, all Ottawa to tie it up. And third, Ottawa scores 3 times. It just winds up being a 5-2 loss. And Gil and I spoke about this, and I feel strongly about this. Like, again, if we're going pros and cons, those shots on goals, anytime that a team hits the single digits is just terrible. And we did in the second and the third period with only 5 and 7. Terrible. I mean, just like there's no 60 minutes of hockey if you're only shooting shots on goal only 5 times. So that was my frustration. That face-off percentage totally bombed. It was a hard game to watch. It was like I said, it was the least favorite game, not just because they lost, but just because they just definitely just meh.
They just kind of fell apart in that one. And it was interesting because I felt like they had enough days off and I thought that came out. I've been frustrated with how our team has been coming out in previous games, and they solved that problem. And their power play has been atrocious. First couple of games, and they solved that. And I was like, oh great, the power play is clicking. We're up 2-0. This is the start that you're hoping for.
Right.
And then it just fell apart. I mean, one guy scored 2 goals on you, just a couple of minutes apart. And basically 2 power plays that we gave them in a row, and you just kind of shot yourself in the foot, right? And then it's 2-2, all the momentum is going out the window, and then the third period they just seized on it and they scored about 5 minutes in, and 2 empty nets, but it's really a 3-2 game, and so it's a close game, but it's just one that you should have if you started off so well. So that was very frustrating for me. But I'm gonna fill up my water real quickly, but I want to get your thoughts on the Ottawa game. I'm gonna listen to it on my phone while I grab the water, but you break it down and then I'll be right back.
The Ottawa game or the Kings game? Oh, it's good.
Oh, sorry, the Kings game.
The Kings game. Okay, no problem. So thankfully this is a much better game, and I'll take it. So Saturday night, the Capitals and Kings played. No goals in the first. In the second period, the Kings do score 2 times, but in the third, Dowd scores at 3:11, assisted by Jensen, Carlson at 4:10, and Eller at 8:59. However, the Kings do score at 10:31, but Mojo scores at 14:35 with a 4-3 win. I don't know how many of you guys watched it, but this was fun. This was a fun game to watch. I highly enjoyed it. There were some, we'll say some pros and cons. Pros, of course, that we won. Cons, I will say, man, those single-digit shots on goal and during the period are just a killer. That is just, it's a killer. It's a disappointment, and that's the one thing we got to work on. But when you're going up against Jonathan Quick, I was impressed with the win.
I was too. I was it was a really great game to watch because I kind of wasn't expecting it. I mean, first of all, the Kings to go out and score those first 2 goals in the second after a pretty tight first period. I was frustrated because right away in the second period they got that first goal, and then they scored again, and it was both of Washington. I was like, oh man, if they lose this game, kind of a rough first 2 weeks. They will end up losing 4 and winning 2. And I start just thinking negatively, and it's like, man, we'll need this New Jersey game to kind of salvage something. But again, another great pep talk between the second and third periods. And because Nick Dowd, I mean, again, goals in the first 5 minutes. This time we got 2 of them. We erased, in a previous time we've erased a 1-goal leads, going into it, but this time we erased a 2-goal lead right at the beginning. The Nick Dowd goal was beautiful. John Carlson again, I get that he's got some defensive lapses. We've got to figure out how you deal with his pairings and some of the situational stuff, but some of it's not on him. I know that he gets a negative a lot, but a lot of times his line mate's in the wrong place and he gets a minus for that. And I get people's like, well, the eye test and stuff like that, but I'm telling you, it's happened a lot through the early part of this season where he gets. And there's sometimes there is blame. I don't want to just seem like a John Carlson apologist all the time. So like there are times where it's his fault, but I don't think all of the goals against while he's on the ice are his fault, right? So I think that that's why that stat is a little bit misleading at times. And I just want people to caution that just a little bit. And his offensive prowess, though, it would be really hard to replace. I know that people are always like, replace the defense. That you can get a better defender for less and blah, 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 blah. I agree you could get a better defender for less, but how many defenders are going to actually put up points like he does? There's
I don't know.
In the league.
I know there's a lot of people that are going to always challenge me on it, but did we score?
Yeah, we did. We just scored a goal.
Remember, I'm always on that stupid delay. So
right. So this is Alexi Protas. With the goal. So a chip up the side, and he there's 2 guys are skating 1-on-1, a great pass across the scene, and Protas finishes and puts it home. So a great play. Trying to see who assisted to him. It looks like it was Mantha. Is it Mantha and Protas on the line? Interesting. yeah, so I think that it was Anthony Mantha to Protus for that one. And
Awesome. I love it.
It's hard. I couldn't see the numbers. It was just that
Yeah.
build of Anthony Mantha. He's like a train coming down. He reminds me a lot of like Ovechkin coming down the other flank. I'm like, well, it's not Ovechkin because he's not on that side. But so I'm like, I'm pretty sure it was Anthony Mantha just chugging along on the other side. And he does this great pass across the seam, going against the way. The goalie's got to cheat his way, and it leaves an opportunity for Protus, and he makes it 6-3 now with 3:13 left in the third period. So that's a big insurance goal for us, just because momentum had been sliding a little bit. We had talked about what are we going to do to answer that last goal, and I was happy to see we're now up 3 goals with 3 minutes left.
Good for Protus. I think that there are some players I think need that little boost in the beginning, like just to show that they've got it, and then keep that momentum going. Definitely.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that last year with him, right? So I was happy to see that. But John Carlson, Lars Eller, he has a knack for scoring at key times. I mean, we've talked about obviously the Stanley Cup game winner many times. But there's been many other games where it's not only the fact that he scores a goal and gets on the score sheet, but it's when it happens. Breaking a lot of ties or tying games in situations like that. Those are really key, and you need somebody else to step up, because it's not always going to be Ovechkin to break a tie or to tie a game, right?
Exactly.
So I was happy. And then Marcus Johansson, I know that I've talked a lot about him a couple weeks ago. I know that there is dissenting opinions on Marcus Johansson across. He isn't the youngest guy in the room, but he's solid. And I don't know, for a team that doesn't have Nicholas Backstrom, and they feel it, I think, in a lot of ways, especially 100%. In the power play. I think Nicholas Backstrom is one of the greatest power play players we've had in the history of our team. Without him on the team, Ovechkin doesn't break all those power play records, right? There's just so many times that Backstrom assists Ovechkin, especially on the power play. So without them, you need somebody that can calm the tempo down and just make solid plays, right? And whether it's a goal, an assist, or just, making the right pass and the simple paths. And Marcus Johansson's a lot like a Nicholas Backstrom. I think that they play a very similar style of hockey. And so I love him in this. I love Dmitry Orlov getting a hat trick of assists in this game. I'm actually wearing, as I did the other night, I showed on the thing, I'm wearing my Skorloff shirt. And then I had the Skorloff and I had the 77, which were the two guys that assisted on the Mojo goal. So I was very happy with who I picked, and that's why I wanted to continue the momentum here. We are now in the last minute. We just deflected a puck.
Wait, Robbie, what minute?
It's not quite the McNugget minute. It's minute 13 left. I'll announce the McNugget minute when we have the chance.
The worst.
So my son really likes McNuggets though. So part of me is kids love that stuff. So if I get a free McNugget when I go get his Happy Meal, if they score, I'm not devastated.
Well, and especially now with the boo buckets, it's like you kind of have to. They all kind of go hand in hand.
Right. I actually haven't gotten any boo buckets yet, so I kind of need to get on that. So
we may get it now.
Yeah. So let's see how we do it. I'd be interested to see if they pulled the goalie down 3. Minute 5 left. We do find a way to exit the zone, but they get it right back in. And we're going to stick here for the last minute of regulation. So now we're in the McNugget minute. We're still stuck and hemmed in our defensive zone, but I do not believe that they've pulled the goalie, or at least the graphic doesn't look like it. Passes it up to Marcus, it's Kuznetsov, who takes a shot on goal, and there is a goalie in net. And I would be surprised down 3 that you pull your goalie. It just, at that point, you just kind of, both teams are kind of retreating. We're passing across the seam on the defensive end. 30 seconds left in the game. Again, we're up 6-3. We allowed 40 shots on goal. We only shot 22, so we scored 6 goals on 22 shots, which is pretty incredible. An opportunity through center. We are able to steal the puck. We're dancing around now in the offensive zone. 10 seconds left. And we're just kind of pushing it to the corner and just sort of wasting time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the Capitals win 6-3 on a shots against effort, but only 3 saves. That's
Go Lindgren,
37
yeah.
saves for our goalies. So a great game there.
Fantastic.
A good win to start this road trip that we'll be talking about. I think Gil's going to be joining us in a second. Let's just go back now that this game is done. We'll actually go back and break down all the scoring in this game live that we just saw. And I'm going to double check real quickly. Thank you, Fry, for joining us, and I'm enjoying everybody's thoughts and their takes live on Twitch. And we'll be taking thoughts and stuff like that on Facebook as well if people wanted to give any comments. But I'm gonna just double check right now.
Sweet.
With Gil, just to make sure that he's coming on, because I may change my opinion. We're going.
I like when you see the Kemper and Lindgren. I like there's a good support group there. I like that. 2 goalies that respect each other.
I was just happy. Yeah, I was Gil saying that he's getting ready. So he'll be joining us in just a couple minutes. So I'm gonna go through the goal scoring in this one.
Okay.
And, we can talk about it, and then we can get Gil's quick thoughts on this game, and then the 3 of us for the remaining part of the hour can just kind of preview the upcoming week ahead for the Capitals. And then at 10 o'clock, we'll bring Ken on, and I think Arun's going to be joining us as well. And we'll talk a little football. Duchesne is a little under the weather, so we're going to let him have the night off. We're going to go with a different 3-man with Arun, who's a big Commanders fan as well. We'll talk about that. And then at the end of the second hour, we are going to talk Wizards, where Tim will join in on the fun. We won their first 2 games. We unfortunately lost last night in overtime, but 3 good games to start the season for the Wizards, and then we'll preview what's upcoming for that. So busy. I'm sure this podcast will go over 2 hours, but an exciting 2 weeks. I mean, it's kind of what's going to happen. I do want to let people know quickly while we're having a little break in the action. Next week, it's going to be a little bit of a later show. We're going to have 9:30 start, a spooky late start. We're going to do Halloween with my children, so it'll take them a little while to get there. So we're going to start, I'm going to say around 9:30. It might be a couple minutes after that. And I know Anna is going to be busy for Halloween, which I totally appreciate. But we're going to have some special guests joining me to talk hockey. There's also going to be a live game that night at Carolina, which will be a fun game. So that will be just ending as we are starting, the podcast right around now. We'll break down the Dallas, Nashville, and Carolina games next week, starting at 9:30. That'll probably go into the 10 o'clock hour, probably push everything late. We actually might swap it and do basketball next, because I have a friend who might be joining to talk hockey and basketball next week. Casey is a big fan of both teams. In fact, he became a Capitals fan because of the Wizards, so it'd be fun to talk to him about both teams. And then we might end the show with Commanders talk. I'm hoping that they get a big win against the Colts, who are 3-3. But we've been doing well when we're kind of the underdog, and I'm a little scared that I'm wondering if we're still the underdog in that game. I hope that we are, just because I like that mentality. A score update: Chicago is up 17-14, and there's about 19 seconds left in this first half, and then there's 3rd and 16, and they're on about the 27-yard line, so they are just outside the red zone, and they just called their last timeout to try to draw up a play. Again, 19 seconds left, 3rd and 16, and they're trying to figure out a play at least to get in a solid field goal range. And but now they don't have a timeout, so if they get a first down but don't get out of bounds, they're going to have to come in and clock it quickly. So we'll be monitoring the end of this first half here as well. But we have Gil joining us right now. I'm going to go through the score really fast as Gil turns on his camera and joins in on the audio. So the scoring, unfortunately, started with New Jersey. It was 1-0. I was a little bit nervous about that, because I was like, oh no, I hope our podcast doesn't jinx it. I hope that we have a good game tonight. I honestly did not see the goal. So Anna, I'm going to defer to you on that goal. What were your thoughts on that first goal against?
On the Dowd goal or the Boston goal?
No, we're talking about the New Jersey goal.
Yeah. Sorry, I had this problem last night with the gill. Sorry.
It's okay.
Hence the water. I apologize.
You're fine.
Do you want me to go into first period, or you just want me to break? What do you want me to do?
Do you have if you have all the scores from tonight's game, you can go through them. Yeah. Why don't you do
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we go against the Devils. Bring it on. Bastion scores first at 4:49, which was fine. We're just gonna let that one go. But Nick Dowd gets his third at 10:46, which I love the fact that it was assisted by Hathaway and Malenstein. Yay. Loving it. Second period, yay. Hathaway at 9:16. It was deflected. So you got assist by Jensen and Strome. Connor Sherry gets his fourth. Ovechkin gets his third. Nick Jensen gets his first. That was a fantastic period. I'm so glad. So going into the third, little pushback from Jersey, but that's okay. They scored twice. Excuse me. And then at 16:11 at the third, Protus, assisted by Mantha and Eller. So it was a 6-3 win and a win for Lindgren. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I
knew this was going to happen.
That's fine. And so I just want to go back to the Connor Sherry one real quickly. First of all, only short time later, they had just taken a penalty where there's an opportunity to go the other way where it'd be 2-2. But Connor Sherry reads the pass across, which they always tell you exactly never do that, right? Because it's like you are baiting the other team if they could make that steal, if they're not playing back in the penalty kill and they take a chance, which Connor Sherry did, because if he reads that and they go the other way, that's a problem for us. But he read it perfectly. And just that's a big goal, shorthanded. And then obviously Ovechkin, power play goal, and then a Jensen's goal. And it's just what an incredible second period. We're bringing in Gil now. Gil, how are you doing tonight?
Not too bad. Kind of a what I like to call a needlessly exciting last period, but fun game otherwise.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on Garnet, Hathaway, Connor Sherry, Ovechkin, and Jensen coming in the second period and making just what was a very close game into a bit of a blowout, in that second period?
Well, that second period is probably, except for the long running issue of the shot disparity, probably the most perfect period they played all season, even though it's been a short season. But the explosion of the 4 goals. I mean, you love seeing that always. But I mean, if you're going to nitpick, you look at the shot totals again. Caps had 11 that period. That's great to see, but they gave up 14. And I want to point that out again. So look at the shot totals per period. 13 for the Devils first period, 14 second period, 13 in the final period for a total of 40. That means Chucky Lindgren had to literally stand on his head at times. And I swear to God, he was standing on his head. So it looked like if you watch some of these replays. But thank God for him, because I don't think without that performance, I don't think they come away with the win. If not for him, I would say he's easily the number 1 star, even with this explosion of goals. But it was, I think the first goal I liked the most, because that not only you got the younger guy Malenstein involved, but the first goal is what happens when you work towards a cause, when you actually, put some effort in and you get the result you want. I think that's what they need to focus on more. Some quality bumping and grinding from Garnet Hathaway along the boards, produces a loose puck. Malenstein recovers it, finds Nick Dowd all alone on the side of the net, and he buries it. And not the prettiest goal maybe, but definitely, a hardworking, gritty goal. And that, I think that set the tone for the game. And wow, did it set the tone for the game. But I always love seeing those.
Yeah, for sure. I know that you on your show, Power Play Point Podcast, again, if you click on the podcast partners button at sportsothp.com, you can get the latest episode is up now. Is that right? Or is it still to be produced?
Yeah, it's posted. It's posted.
It is posted. Okay.
We posted last night.
Okay, cool. So if people want to check out their full thoughts on the last week, since I don't want to have to rehash everything, but just your general thoughts. I know it's been a little bit tough for us on the road, but on the home we played very well over the first 2 weeks. But it's been 2 weeks since we talked to you. But your general thoughts on the games that we saw that Anna and I broke down earlier. What are your thoughts on the first 2 weeks for the Capitals?
Well, yeah, we talked about this, Anna and I, and the boo birds are starting to come out. The negative Nellies, the Debbie Downers, whatever you want to call them, they're already down on this team, and a handful are already saying, "Well, time to see if we can fall on our face for the first round pick." And I say no, not way too soon to be talking about garbage like that. It's early in the season. I think this team is still trying to find its identity. It's obvious in the schizophrenic, frankly, play that they've had. You saw another example of that tonight. Nothing new, and yet we've got a lot of newcomers trying to acclimate into the lineup, and therefore the team is still trying to figure out who they are. So if you consider all of that, then it's going to be hard for a team to find its way. But all things considered, it could be a hell of a lot worse. We could be Vancouver and not have won a game yet. We could be, winless or languishing at the bottom of the standings. We're not. The games are fun to watch. There is that. But it's not horrible. I don't think the team is playing horribly. They just need to find a way to develop some consistency. And that comes with finding out who they are. They don't know who they are yet because they haven't figured out what, the consistent line combinations. I think if anything has helped though, it's, the big made up or so-called controversy from last year, that's out the window. The goalies, you know what you're going to get from the goalies. So I think that has been a big help, a big
Lindgren,
plus.
38 saves tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Just remarkable.
Yeah. We went over the shot totals. 40 shots thrown at him. And I think it was actually 37 he stopped. But let's not
38 now on the post game. So, but either way.
Okay, yeah. My app just updated to 41. So yes. Evidently they got the devil snuck in some other shot there. Beelzebub working his magic.
Funny.
I don't know.
It was funny that you say that because throughout the game, like during TV timeouts, they'd come back with 2 more shots. And I just don't know what the stat people are like seeing, but it happened 2 or 3 times. I was like, oh, it's 26, and then it was like 28. I was like, well, where did those 2? I didn't see them, but it's just. Anyway, it's a lot of shots regardless. I can't say I counted them all. But I'm happy that he was able to stop them. He's being interviewed right now. He's got a great mustache. And he's got quite the personality. I love both of our goalies. I think I'm much happier with where we're at right now in that department. And I don't know, is Anna coming back? I don't know. I thought she was getting more water, but now I'm. Oh, there she is. Okay.
I'm here.
Hello.
Sorry.
Okay. I just didn't know. Okay. Let's break down the upcoming 3 games. We're continuing a road trip right now. There's the Thursday, October 27th at Dallas. It's an 8:30 Eastern start time. And then we go to Nashville, Saturday, October 29th at Smashville, as we call it. It's an 8 p.m. start. One of my best friends, one of my groomsmen, is going to that game. He's actually driving all the way down to Nashville to catch a game there, which I thought was really cool of him and his fiance. So that'll be really fun. So I hope that they're able to win that one, obviously, for a lot of reasons, but especially for them for making that road trip down there. And then the Monday, October 31st, aka Halloween, at Carolina. It's a 7:00 start, and next week we will be coming on as a post game to that show, to that game, and so we're not going to start at our normal 9:00 time. We're going to do the typical Halloween stuff as a family, and then we're going to come on and we'll recap that. Gil, are you available to come on after that game to do a late show, or I haven't even asked you. I'm going to put you on the spot right now, but.
Yeah, no, I can definitely commit to that. I can, yeah, they'll be able to play that trick, and I'm sure I'll treat everybody to my own brand of recapping. So yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, Robbie, just so you know, Gil really wants to come on as the Count from Sesame Street.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that'll be his trick or treat, however you want to take it.
We'll have a costumed Gil, so that'll be interesting. But either way, costumed or not, you're more than happy. I know that Anna's busy. Halloween's a very important thing. It's important to me. I almost thought about not doing it, but I took last week off. I just kind of wanted to not take too many weeks off here. But I'm excited. We could do a little bit of a later show branded as a spooky episode, hopefully with lots of treats, with lots of wins for the Capitals. Not too many tricks up coming up, but it'll be an interesting thing. We're trying to get Casey on as well, because Casey also likes to talk Wizards, so maybe we'll do Wizards at an earlier segment right afterwards, and we can roll one into the other and have him be a part of our roundtable, and then we'll end with football. So a little bit of a wacky schedule for Halloween next week potentially, but I'm excited about that. So let's break these games down real quickly. We got about 5-10 minutes to do it in. I'm just going to mention them real quickly, and I'll let you break down all three of them in a row. So Gil, I'll let you break down all three first. It's at Dallas, at Nashville, and then next week at Carolina.
Okay, so these are going to be, well, almost goes without saying, three very tough games against three very tough teams. Nashville, bit of a struggle this season, but don't let the record fool you. That's they're tough, always a tough out. First game, Dallas, breaking that down real quick. Yeah, that they're up against Joe Pavelski, and probably the best young player in the league in a while, Jason Robertson. He actually had a contract dispute and held out for part of the preseason. That has not slowed down a bit. He already has 2 goals and 5 assists for 7 points and is a +6 for the season, according to the latest stats. So that's a terrific 1-2 punch that they've got there with Pavelski and Robertson. So watch out for them. That is probably, if the Caps are not ready to play, unfortunately, that is probably going to be a long game. That's probably going to mirror the Toronto game if they're not careful. And they've also got, Dallas does, pretty good young goalie in Jake Ottinger. I don't know if he's going to get the start for that or not, but yeah, going to be a very difficult game, probably the toughest test they're going to have.
Yeah, it's interesting because they'll play Boston tomorrow at Boston, and then have to come and play Washington just 2 days later. Back. It's not a long trip, but it's still it'll be interesting to see if Boston roughs them up. I mean, Boston's a tough out in Boston, and so it'll be interesting to see if that has an impact on which goalie they play, or how tired they are as well, since we'll have a slightly longer rest in that one. And then so you broke down that one, and then what about the do you have any more thoughts on the Nashville game?
Nashville's going to be tough. I don't know what happened last game, but the last time these two played, it was extremely chippy. I don't know if there's any sort of a carryover effect, but if Nashville brings a physical game, I hope the Caps are ready for it. I think that's probably something else that's been lacking, other than the consistency, is a physicality, a strong physical game that the Caps have been known for the last few seasons. I think that's been missing. So I think they need to be prepared for that, for Nashville to bring that. Of course, Roman Josi on their back line, always up there in the top 3 as far as defensemen. So he'll be controlling the play. So he's going to be a key player for them for sure. Moving on to the last game, Carolina, they are always tough. It's always fun to watch playing them because, we either do really well or we have a hard time keeping up with them. It's going to be interesting what kind of a lineup Laviolette fields against this team, because I think if they go with more of a speed dynamic, I think they've got a better chance. So hopefully the younger guys, get a start in here. So get some fresh legs in here, because it'll be towards the end of that long road trip. But you never know. But I think if they go with a speed dynamic in the lineup, I think that'll favor them. But we'll see.
Right. One thing I just wanted to go back to the Predators for a second. They won their first 2 games against San Jose, but then they lost 2 games against Dallas. It was weird that they played back-to-back games against 2 teams. So 4 games, 2 teams, which I've never seen to start a season that way, which is kind of unique. Then they played Los Angeles, the team we just beat. Then they're at Columbus, and then Philly at home. They lost 5 in a row after winning those first 2 games, which were on back-to-back nights. They're going to play St. Louis on Thursday, so that'll be interesting to see if they get off the schneid before they see us or not, or if they extend it to a 6-game losing streak. I'm kind of hoping they beat St. Louis, so that makes it a little bit of a, they're not as desperate for a win, so to speak.
Right.
But, that'll obviously have some impact. I want to thank Peter the Modding Mod for a resub. It's 3 a.m. in England, but he's giving me a subscription to my channel. And so I really
Nice.
appreciate him dropping money and donating to me at 3 in the morning in England, but I really for stopping by. I hope that he sleeps well. He's saying that hi and bye. He's gonna go to sleep soon, but I appreciate you for joining us, even if it's just brief. And he had a really fun. He had this great birthday party planned where all of his favorite musicians from Toronto all came to a house party, and then they streamed it live. And I'm telling you, it is the best house party I've ever seen in my life. Like, some of my favorite Twitch musicians were all there.
That is so cool.
Major FOMO. He came all the way from England to Toronto, and they threw this huge party for him, which was really awesome. And I was happy to be a fly on the wall for it, even if I couldn't be at his birthday party. So congratulations, awesome. Peter. Happy birthday again.
Nice.
So yeah, it's so, and then the last game is that Carolina game, which is they're always a tough out. They've kind of had a little bit of an interesting start to their season, less games than a lot of the other ones. They won their first 3, Columbus, San Jose, and Seattle. They've lost their last 2, one in regulation to Edmonton, and then the Calgary one, which I believe was won in overtime by the Flames. So they've got a couple of games coming up before they get to our game. First of all, they play later tonight against Vancouver. Then they play Friday and Saturday in a back-to-back, Islanders in Carolina, and then at Philadelphia. And then come right off of that, after just having one day off, and they play us in Carolina. So that will mean that they are playing 3 games in 4 nights. So hopefully Washington can take a little bit of advantage of that, because that's a little rough go of it, especially with them not all being at home. Going from the island, from New York to Philly. The New York one's at home, but then up to Philly and then back down to Carolina. It's a lot of travel in a short period of time. And I hope that we can take advantage of it. But I'll get Anna's last thoughts on this. Can you break down the 3 games this week? Dallas, and then Smashville, and then Carolina next.
Actually, I'm going to kind of go along with what Gil said. I had written down and start Pavelski. I think he's going to be huge to watch in the Dallas game. I think it's going to be tough. I hope for a win. I think we're going to come out of this series 2-3. But I'm not quite sure who we're going to lose to now that I hear that Carolina has, kind of all that traveling to do. However, it is Carolina. So I kind of feel like they do want to rally because they just can't stand the Capitals, and the feeling is mutual. I don't know. I feel like I think Dallas is of the 3. I think Dallas is going to be the hardest game for us to win. I'm glad that it's first. I hope that they come out, and again, Gil and I have said this several times. We are ready for some 60 minutes of hockey, not 27 minutes, not 42 minutes. Let's see it all. Like, come out and let's play and let's get the season really rolling.
Yeah, for sure. Well, right. So did you just broke down the one game, or have you wrote down all three?
So, and that's just, I just feel like I feel like Dallas is going to be the toughest, and Nashville, I don't know, I'm on the fence, and Carolina, it's hard to see. So like, I feel like they're going to win 2 of the 3.
I could see that too. I don't know which two. I'm hoping it's the Nashville and the Carolina one. I care less about Dallas, and for some reason, Dallas seems to always have our numbers. So it wouldn't be a shock to me if Dallas does. I don't know. Sometimes teams just are weird like that, and Nashville often does too. But I don't know. I don't feel that same impending sense of dread. But maybe that's all these years of watching Commanders, Redskins, Washington football team play Dallas and dreading that, and it's just kind of like carried over. But I can't tell you, Gil, I've gone to like 3 different Dallas Stars games in different years, and we've lost all of them. And it doesn't. They've never a good taste in my mouth in their games. And how do you see the week shaping up, Gil?
Well, I mean, I am almost ready to concede the Dallas game because they are a good young team, a good mix of young guys and veterans. They're off to a good start. I mean, I'm not gonna waste any energy over a loss to them. I'm not as concerned about losing to the Western Conference teams, although standings points are points, but what they need to start working on is building up the wins against the Eastern Conference, especially in division. And they got the W tonight, so that was the big thing. I'm kind of with Anna. I would not be surprised if they come out 2-3 from this road trip. They started with a good win tonight. Next game, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to get. Like I said, I think if you paid a lot of attention to the Toronto game, that's probably what you're going to see against Dallas. And then the rest of the way, I think the Caps just need to adjust as well as they can to both the physical side and as I mentioned, the speed dynamic. I think that'll work. You mentioned Carolina possibly being caught with tired legs after a bit of a strange scheduling quirk and some travel. So I think that's goes with my thinking that the speed dynamic, if they decide to use that lineup, will favor them in that game. So let's hope that they do that. And then further on down the line, you've got let's see real quick. You got the Vegas, Detroit, and Arizona later on to finish out that week. Some younger teams, some weaker teams. So kind of a nice balance after playing some tougher teams. So should be a very interesting next week and a half or so for the Caps.
We got a lot of home games coming up after that because it's Vegas. We do go to Detroit on that Thursday, but then Arizona, Edmonton, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, all at home before we then return the favors and go to Tampa Bay in the middle. So many Monday games. In previous years, Monday night games are like once in a blue moon, and this year we've got a ton of them. So we're going to be doing a lot of I'm looking at that Edmonton game on the 7th. We'll probably have to do a live look in. It can't be a post game for that because it will be in the middle of the game once we get started at 9:00. And I know that Anna doesn't want to push things later than we do, which I totally agree with. So Gil might not be able to join us for that one just because I don't even think we'll have a post game because the post game will be during the Commanders talk. But it'll be fun to talk on Halloween about how these next 3 games go, Gil, and sort of take a look at the next couple of weeks from there. And it should be a fun conversation. I'm really happy to have Casey back as well. I meant to add a Casey command, but I don't know. There he is. Titan Rising KM on Twitch. So go follow him over there. I was joining him. I was adding the Pokemon community game that you see here over there. He's also a big Pokemon fan and a Caps fan. So obviously I'm a big fan of his. So I appreciate him going to be joining us as part of the Halloween spectacular. We got to come up with some cool name and do some artwork for it. But I'll work on that with our marketing department, and we'll get back to you on that. But Gil, let people know you guys just broke down the last week for the Capitals. Anything else you discussed on this week's podcast before we let you go?
Well, I mean, just kind of something we both, alluded to earlier when we both came on. It's too early in the season to start getting down on this team, and we talked about the fans that have already thrown in the towel. That they really should not be having that attitude. I mean, they just won their 4th game of the season out of 6. So this does not look to me like a team that is suddenly going to collapse and miss the playoffs. Is it possible that they may have to contend for one of the final 2-3 spots? Yes, it's entirely possible.
I think
never
that's
know
good
what's going
for
to
us,
happen.
though. I don't particularly like running away with it and being super confident.
No,
like,
I get that. I get that. But what I don't get is being down on this team for,
oh, yeah.
still trying to figure out what and who they are. And I think you're going to see more, the team finally gel in the coming weeks. This road trip will start. Road trips are where teams usually bond. So you're going to have the new guys acclimate a little bit better after that. I think you're going to find that they are a more cohesive and consistent unit after that. And if they're not, then maybe there's a little tweaking that needs to be going on. I said tweaking, not twerking. But it's way too early to be down on this team. So that's our message right now. Don't throw in a towel yet. Yes, they're not playing as well as they should be on paper, but they're still getting the results if you think about it.
And they have a lot of injuries. A lot of core people aren't there. We don't have Tommy, who's a huge part of it. We don't have Nicholas Backstrom, who's a huge part of the power play, as we were talking about earlier. So, you're missing 2 out of your top 6 players and a team, and you're still trucking around to 500. So, I wouldn't mind if they just F around all season, jump in there as a 7-8 seed, get those players back and see what we got, right? We could surprise a lot of teams because they won't know what we look like with those players back in the lineup. And I hope that they rest Nick as long as they can. I would like to see Tommy back sooner rather than later, not to rush him in, but just to get that physicality back in the lineup. I think it would do wonders for this team. And
Definitely.
see what we got. And but Gil, I love your guys' podcast. I'm definitely gonna check it out tomorrow. And people should check it out as well. Again, if you go to sportsothp.com, click the Power Play Point or click the podcast partners button, click the Power Play Point podcast. It's right there. It's got all the latest stuff. Also, you can search for Power Play Point podcast, the Facebook group on Facebook, and it's a fun way to chat with Gil and Anna. I also will give shout outs to you guys both on our Twitch commands over here. I've got one for each one of you, so people can follow Anna over at twitter.com/ANox49. Same thing on Instagram. Oh, that's Aquanox49 on Instagram.
Right.
And then we also have a link there that goes right to the Power Play Point podcast, and the Facebook group is also listed under Gil's information right there. So all the links in chat on Twitch. And thank you, Gil, so much for joining us, and I look forward to having you as part of our little bit slightly later show next week.
Pleasure.
All right, have a good one. All right, Anna.
Bye, Gil.
All right, night.
Anna, final thoughts I'm going to give you before I let you go, and we're going to bring in Champ. He can start the camera up, and we can do what they call in the business the crossover, right?
The crossover.
Right.
Hi, Champ.
So Champ's excited as well, I'm sure. Big week for all the DC sports. But Anna, let people know any other things you think we should know, and we'll see you probably in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, yep. And I look forward to seeing all your Halloween family photos, which I love, and hope everybody has a safe holiday. I hope the Caps just kick ass the rest of these games. I hope 2 for 3. I'm okay with it. I'd be okay with it.
For sure. I'd be okay with that too. So, but Anna, I appreciate you joining us as always. We'll miss you next week. It'll be, I guess, an all boys show for Halloween, but we'll I'm sure talk to Gil about I don't know if you're going to be on the power play next week, but we'll definitely pick his brain and enjoy having at least half of the podcast with us. And I appreciate you as always and your insight on this, and hope that you have a wonderful Halloween.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a great show. Bye, Champ. We'll talk to you guys. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Take care,
Anna.
Thank
All
you.
right. I'm trying to